difference between a listing agent and a buyer's agent? The titles are pretty self-explanatory, but a couple useful things to know. Excuse me. The listing office, being represented by a listing agent, typically have the exclusive right to sell a property. This means the listing office represents the seller in negotiations with potential buyers. An important thing to know is that the listing office also pays the commissions of both listing and buying agents from the proceeds of the sale. For our buyers out there, we'll circle back to that one, and it's important shortly. There's lots of people who consider selling property on their own, and you know what? It's easy to sell a house. Many times people will think, oh boy, I can save $5,000 or $6,000 if I do it on my own. But the reality is, you probably sell your house for $10,000 or $12,000 less than you would have if it was marketed properly. Much more if it's a higher dollar value home. This doesn't even include all the things that can and do pop up with inspections, titles, and insurance obligations, but that's a whole nother can of worms we'll discuss another day. Like we said earlier, it's super easy to sell a house. What's not easy is getting the most out of your investment and not leaving money on the table. We don't want to negotiate with the buyer. We don't want to negotiate with a buyer. We put ourselves in a position so we are negotiating with 3 or 4 buyers at the same time. Reach out to us. We'd be happy to tell you about the strategy we use for this, and it works like a charm. Now, when you're ready to sell property, we strongly suggest interviewing a couple agents. We also suggest to not automatically go with the agent who gives you the highest CMA or suggested sale price. Many times that is a strategy used by weak agents who don't really have any marketing brilliance to offer. Just potentially inflated number to try to win you over. As far as Bella and I are concerned, that's as an agent, it's also potentially a very dishonest way to start a relationship with a seller. So instead, we would suggest looking at past listings to see how they market properties. Ask for referrals as well. How many open houses do they intend to run? Where will your property be advertised? Ask them what they do different than other agents in the area. They should be able to answer these questions. Blend and I utilize virtual reality modeling. We use drone technology. We make promotional videos of our listings. We run a minimum of at least 1 open house a month, typically 2. We typically will do live social media from our open houses. There's a difference between agents. Many times, it's a pretty huge difference. Now, if you're looking to buy a house, we strongly suggest finding an agent you trust and who's going to negotiate on your behalf. And signing a buyer agency agreement allows the agent to represent you in negotiations. And the beauty is a buyer's agent never costs you a penny because they're paid from the listing office, as we had talked about earlier. Any agent who shows you property is representing the seller unless you have a buyer agency agreement in place. If you remember one thing about this, a buyer agent never ever costs you a penny. If they're any good, they save you thousands in the form of negotiating a solid purchase price where you get top value for your dollar. They'll help guide you through the inspection process. They'll tell you the questions you need to ask, and they help you achieve a smooth closing. It's definitely worth its weight in gold. So that's what we got for you today.